Good morning, gentlemen. Everybody heard the name of Field Marshal Clausewitz. He's the man who laid down the principles of war. And I'm going to discuss the Middle East conflict in the light of the principles of war as enunciated by Field Marshal Clausewitz. That's how we are going to move further forward. So, gentlemen, the question which we have to answer now is, have the principles of war been followed in the battles in the Middle East? As I told you, I'm not going to be concerned with the political overtones of this war. I'm going to discuss basically the military aspects. And what are the military aspects? Let's go through it. Hamas mounted an attack on Israel, and fired about 8 to 10,000 rockets in one day. And the net result was that the Iron Dome, which was supposed to be shielding Israel, collapsed. It couldn't manage such a large volume. It was not meant for that purpose. Maybe 100 missiles, 150, but not 8,000 to 10,000. Net result was the element of surprise, which is so essential in war, was with the Hamas. They were able to strike a deadly blow. 1,500 almost Israelis were killed, and they also mounted an assault on the border posts with Israel and captured about 45 Israeli soldiers and took another 250 or 300 hostages. So that part went in favor of Hamas, because surprise is one of the elements of warfare. And conversely, the Israelis failed very badly. I won't say Israelis also failed, along with the CIA and the American intelligence. I think all the major intelligence countries, the French, the British, MI5, all came croppers. And they had no whiff that Hamas is going to build up such a big arsenal of rockets, 8 to 10,000, and launch them. I mean, this was a victory for Hamas in that sense. But then phase 2 of the battle, after surprise, is sustenance and contingency plans. These were totally missing as far as Hamas is concerned, and most of them had certain misconceptions. What were those misconceptions? The first was they thought that we have taken about 250, 300 hostages, and the Israelis, who don't want to lose any of their men or soldiers, will negotiate with us, and we'll be able to dictate terms to the Israelis. Also, since we have already hit Israel so badly, Israel will realize that they cannot fight us and will sue for any settlement. See, it's all very good to think of, but this is not the way wars are fought. Wars are fought by making a military plan, what we call an appreciation, which we do in Staff College, and study the best courses of action and the way the enemy would react. Now, the Israeli character is a little different from other countries. They're not going to negotiate, though they had given away 250 to 300 hostages, yet they did not negotiate, insisted that they will take their revenge, and then they began to make a build-up. Now, phase 2 of the attack was that the Hamas had set up a lot of defensive posts which they thought they would be able to thwart the allies. How? The Israelis. And one of those methods of defense was having underground tunnels replete with all sorts of supplies and everything, and interconnected, running into miles. Now, Hamas didn't have the technology to make these. Obviously, somebody else made it for them. So they had an ally, and I think it was China, which helped them in these tunnels and other things. But then you have to have a second line of defense, and that means that you need the infantry soldier to hold the ground. If you remember, during the Second World War, the British deputy commander of the Allies, Field Marshal Montgomery, made a very relevant statement as in his history of warfare. He has said that in any battle, whatever you have, missiles, rockets, anything, you need the infantry soldier to hold the ground. Now, Hamas had fighters, this thing and that, but they did not have a standing army. The infantry soldier that was missing. Fighters alone fighting together in groups or something do not constitute a professional army, while Israel had a professional army. A third thing which Hamas lacked was air cover. Now, if you go to the theories of General Duhut, Gulia Duhut, one of the fathers of air warfare, has said that a prerequisite for a victory is a favorable air situation. Now, this favorable air situation was not there as far as the Hamas is concerned. They didn't have an air force worth the name, and the Israelis had a very, very potent air force equipped with American aircraft supplied by the Americans, and they could play hell into the havoc, into Hamas. And this is precisely what happened. The Israelis started bombing, and I think in the initial stages they bombed 460 sites of Hamas. And that itself was a big blow to Hamas, because from there onwards it was very clear that Hamas was not going to win the war. And there's another reason for it. Clausewitz points out the political aspects of a battle. That means there should be some other people supporting you. Now, lip service is good enough. There's a lot of lip service from Turkey and other countries. In fact, there was an organization of Islamic states, a conference of 57 nations, and they all condemned Israel. But nothing came out of it. There's no relevance in the sense that somebody was going to set around an Arab army to invade or attack Israel. It didn't happen that way. With the result, Hamas was left all alone. And all alone, they couldn't fight Israel. Now, the battle as it has gone is that the Israelis had made a proper plan and they were able to mount a counter-offensive. Now, that is what matters. A counter-offensive was mounted and they are pushed deep into Gaza. Now, Gaza is a very small strip, just about 30 miles wide, 12 length and 12 miles width. And there's got one city, Gaza City, which has about 60 to 70% of the population of the 2 million odd Arabs who stay there. Now, the Arabs staying there definitely were complicit with Hamas, but maybe many of them had no choice. I mean, you can't stay and swim with the alligator in the same water. So obviously these people were just going along with Hamas, because if somebody had opposed them, probably Hamas would have come down very heavily on them. And Hamas had its supporters, but they were very far away. Iran was there, and then Pakistan and Turkey. And Turkey is basically a member of NATO. It can talk around, but it doesn't do anything. It's like the dog that barks, but does not bite. Because Turkey is not going to be involved in any conflict with Israel. I don't think so. And however, Erdogan is going on and making very volatile statements, but statements alone lead nowhere. And in contrast, the Saudi dynasty has been very pragmatic. They've handled the situation very well, and so also the UAE. I mean, all hats off to them. But the fact remains that other than lip service, Hamas got nothing. And with the results, not having the infantry to control the ground, they have given way in the whole of the Gaza Strip, and Israeli army has moved in. Now, the second aspect of the warfare is pursuing the enemy, one-minded, single-minded aim. That's one of the aspects of military warfare. And Hamas' aim, which is the destruction of Israel, is actually something which was a weird dream, that's all I can say. Because with the United States having decided that they would back Israel come what may, and Hamas not getting any backing from any of the other Arab states, the chances that they would ever be able to destroy the Israeli state is zero. Absolutely no chance. And now the situation is, despite calls by all over the world for Israel to have a ceasefire, it hasn't been done. They have some pauses, 2 hours, 3 hours, and all, but that's not a ceasefire. And the net result is, as far my information goes, at least hundreds of these freedom fighters, Hamas fighters have been killed. It's a very sad thing that they should all die like this. But many have been trapped in the tunnels which were flooded and they've been killed. And many have now surrendered. I've seen some videos of the Hamas fighters surrendering and they seem to be a pretty haggard lot. I mean, it's very sad, that's all I can say. Because most of these people were given a lollipop, and things would work out the way they probably thought that the Arab world will intervene, but nobody wants to intervene anywhere and just lead your own country to destruction. So everybody talks of a two-state solution. I think they've been talking for a long time. But why didn't anybody think about it in 1948 and get it done there? As far as the battle is concerned now, politically, I don't think there can be any solution. We are not concerned with it in this video. I'll tell you the military aspects. There is a preponderance of military power on the side of Israel. They have the Air Force, they have the Navy, and they have the army moving deep in, columns after columns. But at the same time, I think they have not been all that successful. Let's look at it from another angle. The battle is on for almost 2 weeks, but yet the place where the hostages have been hidden are not known to the Israelis. I don't think they've been able to free any hostage other than an odd man here and there. So that shows the deception which has been practiced by Hamas. And maybe they are in some secret tunnels or caverns and nobody knows what's happening. And though Israel has total control over Gaza at the moment, and I told you Gaza is a very small area, just about 350 square miles. It's nothing very big. It's not like what the Indian Army did, when they took almost 30,000 square miles and conquered Pakistan, the east part of Pakistan, and 100,000 Pakistani soldiers surrendered. Hands up. Gentlemen, that's what I'm coming to. The battle in the Middle East, that is between Hamas and Israel, if it continues like this, can end only in one way, and that is the defeat of Hamas. I don't think Hamas has any chance that it's going to survive and win. The chances are just like ISIS and Al-Qaeda, where the Americans then gone hammer and tongs, Hamas will also meet the same fate. But I can't say about the hostages, whether they'll be rescued or no. There's good possibility that they could be executed or God knows what will happen. I can't comment on that. And I think after this battle, terrorists will think twice before they take on any state, not only say Israel, anywhere else. Because I have already said that terror alone has never won a war anywhere. Nobody won a war just by terrorism alone, and ultimately the terrorists lost. Just remember that the ISI and the Baghdadi had taken a huge amount of area in Iraq and Syria as part of the caliphate. But then finally, dogs were let loose in a secret cave in which Gaddafi was hiding, and he died dog's death. That's very sad. And I'm afraid Hamas also is going to be in dire waters. They're not going to be able to win the fight. Though they had the element of surprise and they won the first round, but there was no backup plan. And though the other aspects of the military of warfare, like esprit de corps, morale, everything was very high, and a lot of coordination was there. But once the battle commenced, I think their command centers, which was underground, some of them were taken out by the Israelis, with the result that Hamas really was without command and control. And secondly, not having a standing army and air force to fight the Israelis next to impossible, unless, say, Saudi Arabia or somebody intervenes, which they're not going to do. They're not fools, to go and get involved in a battle for nothing. Egypt has signed a separate peace treaty with Israel way back after the 1973 war, when Sadat was the president. But I don't think they're going to intervene either, neither interested. In fact, one of the facts which you must bear in mind, that none of the Arab states are prepared to take in any of the refugees who are running away from Gaza. That is the Palestinian Arabs. Nobody wants them. And if you recollect, in 1970, King Hussein had ordered the Pakistan army, which was there as a guardian, to attack the Palestinian Arabs, and maybe a few hundred of them were killed. And the commander at that time was Brigadier Zia-ul Haq, who later on became the army chief of Pakistan and later the president by military coup. So that is one example where hundreds were killed, Palestinian Arabs were killed by the other Arabs. And now the battle which is on in Gaza is again a one-sided affair. The Israelis have gone in with after meticulous planning, and then they have got a tremendous backup. See, in any war you need a backup, and they have a tremendous backup with the United States, which has set up 2 aircraft carriers there. And as per my reports, special forces of the US Army and the Marines are fighting along with the Israelis in the Gaza Strip. So perhaps the war is coming to an end, gentlemen. I think by next video which I'll make, I'll be able to tell you the war is over. It is going to get over, and I can't say that's where the Hamas leadership is hiding or what they are. They could be anywhere. They must have probably left the country and gone away under some pseudo names and licenses or whatever it may be. But everything is not going straight for Hamas. Hamas, in my view, miscalculated, and that is not the hallmark of a good soldier or a good general. And number 2, they didn't have any backup plan which should be there to face once the Israelis launch an assault. As far as Israel is concerned, I think the intelligence had a failure. That is one of the principles of war, and they'll have to ramp it up. And secondly, they would have to be alert, because anything would happen anytime. And similar thing happened in the 1973 war during Yom Kippur, when the Israelis were celebrating, the Egyptians had attacked. So gentlemen, it's a very tricky situation, but the jigsaw puzzle is now settling down. And settling down in the sense that I think the battle is going against Hamas, and it will not be long before Hamas is defeated. I can't say about the hostages. They may be rescued, not rescued, or they may be killed. We do not know. But definitely Hamas has suffered a body blow, and that is good, because that will also signify that terrorism alone cannot win you anything other than your own death. I think, gentlemen, I'll close now. Say goodbye, take care, and God bless. And may I request you to please subscribe to my channel, share it with your friends, and come back for more. Jai Hind. Glory to India.